Welcome to the channel, welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie, you know what to do by now, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's jump straight into it. No place to start at the moment other than Carlos Baleba. He is the talk of the town, he's all the noise at the moment, he seems to be the player that Ineos are trying to get through the door. They want him. They see him as the ideal midfielder to bring in. Ruben Amorim, we've had all the reports over the last few days that we've been bringing you, and the noise is not going anywhere at the moment. So let's run through all the latest there. So firstly, this has come out from a Cameroonian news outlet. I have no idea the credibility. It was reposted by loads of aggregator accounts, but we'll say hang fire and take it with a pinch of salt because I don't know whether they're a decent, credible source or not. However, suggesting that Manchester United have stepped up their pursuit of Carlos Baleba, aiming to secure a firm agreement with the player before opening advanced talks with Brighton. Now, we know that that is Ineos' transfer strategy. Get the buy-in of the player, agree terms with the player, and then start the negotiations with the club. So that's plausible because we know that that is Man United's transfer strategy. So we do know that we are in conversations with Carlos Baleba and the agency as well. Fabrizio Romano said in the next days, contacts will continue for Carlos Baleba. Man United remain in contact with the agents. They did that on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and also in the recent hours. This was a video that he did last night. Manchester United remain active talks on player side for Carlos Baleba. United want to try and understand what happens with Brighton. So they want to make an attempt, but on the club side with Brighton at the moment, the situation remains difficult. So we are trying to work on this deal and we are still in constant contact with Carlos Baleba's agent. Manchester United have the feeling that the player is open to the move, and so Manchester United want to try to see what happens with some contacts for Baleba, and we'll see if they continue to move or not. So according to Fabrizio Romano, we are in constant contact with Carlos Baleba's agent. The feeling is that the player would be open to the move. However, we're still yet to make an approach to Brighton, and I think we're still in that stage where maybe I think they are potentially looking at how much this deal is going to cost and stuff as well, which is insane that it is still ongoing. This is definitely something we're looking into. Like I said, whether we're going to get the deal done or not, who knows? It's very difficult. It's going to be very expensive. We don't know United's finances. We don't know if we're going to need to sell first to buy. God knows. Not our job to understand. Let's just get giddy and excited about the potential move for Carlos Baleba and get back to being excited about transfer news as well. Whether it materialises or not, who cares? But that was the latest from Romano. Then in the Manchester Evening News, according to Marca, who are a big Spanish outlet, again, I'm not entirely convinced by the credibility, but 6.7 million followers, so I'm going to assume fairly decent. Manchester United are expected to submit an offer for Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba. Ruben Amorim's side is set to shift their attention to strengthening midfield after signing Benjamin Sesko, and Baleba has been identified as a top target. However, there is a stumbling block that United face. Brighton are an excellent selling club and do not intend to sell a player on the cheap, as seen with Moises Caicedo's £115 million move to Chelsea. Now, I read that in the Manchester Evening News, but again, it's been reposted by a few other sites and stuff as well, suggesting that we are ready to submit an offer, because if we've got the buy-in from the player, because we must have some sort of, because Romano keeps saying Baleba's open to a move, he's not turned us down, so he, by all accounts, wants to come to United. It's just, can we get a deal done with Brighton? That's the, and we're yet to make like an official bid at this stage. Then we've had another French journalist that works for like L'Equipe and places like that, fairly large following as well, fairly decent, saying the record for the biggest transfer in history for an African player will be broken by Carlos Baleba. £112 million is being discussed behind the scenes. So we are looking at potentially, according to that report, a world record transfer fee for Carlos Baleba. I'm not sure he's worth that amount of money. You tell me in the comments. You know, again, not our cash. I'd rather us spend money on players than glazer dividends. That's for sure. So if we're ending up spending that sort of money on a player and he's worth it and he helps improve the team and you know, he's got loads of development in him and is a really good young talented midfielder, let's be fair, I don't care. Like I said, it's not going in the glazer's pocket anymore. If it's going on football players, then it is what it is. But that is a massive amount of money to spend on Carlos Baleba. But give us your thoughts in the comments. Is he worth it? Do you think it's like, hold on, let's give our heads a wobble here. Can we not get maybe 2 midfielders for that price and move on with our lives? Or is he worth the outlay? Give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then we've had Nico, who's a good Italian journalist, saying that Manchester United are preparing their first official bid to Brighton for Carlos Baleba, who already has a verbal agreement with Manchester United on a deal running until 2030 with an option for 2031. So when you start hearing shit about contracts and times of contracts and stuff, maybe it is time to get a little bit more giddy regarding this. But again, I don't know how we're funding this or what's going to materialise or how quickly we can get this deal done. But it is definitely something that's, there's something brewing with this. It feels that way anyway, going off of the reports. And then Rudy Galletti has said that Manchester United and Brighton will hold fresh talks in the coming hours, with United set to submit a bid for Carlos Baleba. Baleba wants the move, while Brighton are already quietly lining up a possible replacement. Now, holy shit, if they're starting to line up replacements, shit could be about to get real with this. The only reservation I have on this is I don't think people like Rudy Galletti and Nico and people like that, as decent as they are journalists, I don't think they're going to break this news. It's going to be Ornstein or Romano. This is a massive deal. It's a massive transfer. It's a big transfer. I've got a funny feeling that David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano are going to be on top of this, like a little cherry on top of a cake. So it's exciting as these rumours are. I would want to still wait and see a lot more credibility before getting overly giddy. I am still giddy about the signing because I think he's a fantastic player. There's plenty of question marks around the price. And as I mentioned before, could we not get 2 players for the price of 1 here? Like, what on earth are we doing paying that sort of money? But, if he's seen as the perfect midfielder, the dream midfielder that Ruben Amorim's in love with, the club are in love with, and it's not hard to see why. Statistically, he is one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. Only young, got loads of growth ahead of him as well. Would solve a massive issue that we face as a partner for Bruno, potentially long-term partner for Kobe Mainu if they see that dynamic working as well. It is what it is, but there's definitely no smoke without fire. But I'm going to reserve my giddiness temporarily, or a little bit. I'm gonna notch it down a little notch, not too much, because I'm dead excited about this as it is. But I'm gonna knock it down just a smidge until we hear a little bit more credibility from like a Romano or an Ornstein regarding this, because it feels like a little bit bandwagon jumping where some of these other small journalists are trying to get clicks and get views and stuff as well. But it doesn't mean that they're wrong at all. There could be something brewing behind the scenes. But again, personally, I'm going to wait before I get too giddy regarding it, but you can get as giddy as you want. Tell me in the comments. Let me know what you think about it down below. It'll be interesting to read those later. Now, let's go through the Rasmus Hojlund situation. So obviously the news was yesterday from Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook that effectively we've had that conversation with him now, because the situation with Hojlund is we want to sell him, or we want to sell him. We're happy to loan him. We basically want to try and get rid of him to make room in the squad. I don't know. Obviously, ideally, we'd want to sell him and get the transfer, get the cash in, because then that cash could go towards like a Carlos Baleba or something. But Hojlund himself is reluctant to go. He wants to stay. And Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook were yesterday saying that we've now had that difficult conversation with Rasmus Hojlund, effectively saying, look, we need you to go. And his agencies are starting to turn around and actually think that maybe this could be the right thing for his career. And then Samuel Lucas has said that Manchester United striker Rasmus Hojlund is open to joining AC Milan. United are confident a deal can be struck with Milan, who are rebuilding their squad following the return of coach Allegri. Milan finished 8th last season and failed to qualify for Europe. It remains unclear whether a permanent deal could materialise, as United value Hojlund at around £30 million and Milan are seeking a loan move for the 22-year-old. So that came from Samuel Lucas, who is a bit of a shit stirrer and likes to stir the pot, but has connections at the club as well. So that's why he's so annoying, because he's one that you want to ignore, but kind of can't, because sometimes he is right with what he says. But it's the first reporter I've heard that's connected to United, well connected as well, saying that Manchester United striker Rasmus Hojlund is open to joining AC Milan, because the belief has always been, he wants to stay and fight for his place. We've had to have that difficult conversation, and I'm sure it is difficult because, he is a United fan and he's still young, and I think he's been dealt a duff hand at United with his career so far, but ultimately he is still responsible for his own performances on the pitch, as much as we can say, oh, yeah, he's thrown in at the deep end and he should have had some support. And I agree with all of those things. But ultimately, if you're falling on your feet every 5 minutes and can't keep the football, then you've only got yourself to blame for that. Yes, his lack of goals. I don't criticise Hojlund for his lack of goals, never have done, because he doesn't get any service. But his general play outside of that has been questionable at best, I would say. Definitely over the last year, he's regressed as well this year. So you can see why people behind the scenes, obviously, and they know a lot better than what we do. So if they want to move him on, I'm sure it's for the right reason as well. But that's the first report that we've heard that Hojlund would now be open to a move to AC Milan. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But it could be Hojlund out. I don't know how the money translates into us going for Baleba, because I'm assuming that we'd need a bigger exit than Hojlund if it's just going to be a few £1 million loan fee. But maybe it is just the wiggle room from PSR that we need in order to get that deal done. But who knows? But yeah, no smoke without fire. Does look like all signs are pointing towards Hojlund going, and potentially the AC Milan. Although there are still some rumours online that we would still maybe look for a permanent exit somewhere, but there's just no real links at the moment. So we'll pay attention to that and give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Let's go through some other news. So Onana is back in training with the first team, and the predictions are that he will be declared match fit for their opening Premier League game at home on Sunday. So that might be good news for some. That might be not so much good news for others, depending on how you rate Onana. I think personally, I'd rather have Onana in net than Bayinda, personally, but that might be controversial for some of you as well. So Onana's looking like he might be back fit already in time for the weekend game against Arsenal. How exciting is it that we've got a game this weekend as well? I'm buzzing about it. I will probably be devastated this time next week though, depending on how the result goes. But that's life. Now United are exploring the viability of a behind closed door friendly against local rivals this week to give Onana and latest signing Benjamin Sesko some real world training. So that was interesting from the Times, suggesting that we maybe try and sneak in a behind closed door friendly this week to give some more minutes and give some practice to like Sesko and obviously Onana, and we've got maybe Xerxes as well. He's back training now, hasn't had any minutes pre-season with his injury. Apparently Mazraoui still might be out injured as well, but we've still got some players that potentially could do with some game time and some minutes. I think Mbumo could do with a bit more game time as well, because he still looks a little bit raw and a little bit unfresh and sharp as well. So that's not a bad thing, in my opinion, as long as we don't get any injuries and stuff. But it'd be good for Sesko as well to give him that minutes. That suggests to me that if that's true, we are planning to start Benjamin Sesko against Arsenal, or at least give him some game time, and rightly so as well. I'm excited to see that. I think though, personally, I've got a funny feeling it's going to take a few weeks for everyone to click and gel, and that's just the way that it is. There's not a lot we can do about that. We've got a completely new forward line that all need to get used to each other, and that's not something that can be done outside of necessarily game time. So I do think we are going to be a bit rusty for a few weeks, but I just hope that the other teams we're playing are also a bit rusty as well at that time, which gives us a bit of an even keel. But yeah, that's just a thought of mine. Now on Sesko himself, done an interview today, good interview. Go check it out on the Man United website. He said, "I'm the kind of guy that is ready to attack, to be in front. If there's a space behind to run it over, of course. If there are crosses, it's always going to be nice. I'm always going to be there." And I think that also is what is important, and also what Man United need as well. That was one of the comments that I picked up on from his interview when he was asked what type of player he is. He said, "I'm ready to attack, ready to run in behind. If there's space to run into, I'm going to do it. It'll be nice to get some balls into the box, because the guy's 6'5" and there's a giant leap on him as well. And I'm just dreaming of that Mbumo cross into the back stick with a Sesko winner against Arsenal at the weekend, and Sesko running off doing the Victor Gyökeres celebration. That is my dream scenario at the moment. I will probably be massively disappointed come Sunday evening, but let a man dream. But yeah, that was one of the things, just to give an overview as how he sees himself fitting into the team, and importantly saying it's exactly what Man United need, and I do think we need somebody like that as well. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, just sticking with injuries, obviously Onana might be back in time for the Arsenal game. Martinez is back on training on grass now as well. So Lisandro Martinez trained on grass individually yesterday and is making positive progress, with a return to first team group training not being far away now. Working hard to be back and is seen as a very important member of the group. It'd be nice to get Martinez back, wouldn't it? Because he's one of these players because he's been out injured technically for quite a while because of his injuries he had before he came back last season. What an outstanding player Martinez is. Massive to our build-up play. He helps the progression issue that we have because he's so good on the ball. And obviously he's aggressive at the back as well. I just hope he can come back and be the same sort of player and he doesn't lose any of that and hopefully stay fit again because he's been really unlucky with injuries. He's not someone I would necessarily class as injury prone, although he is injury prone because all of his injuries I've witnessed with my own eyes. He's got injured on the pitch, making tackles and being a warrior. And, it's like Luke Shaw. You never hear what happened to him. He's just, here 1 minute and gone for a year after, and then you see him again. You're like, oh, Luke Shaw's still at the club. I think it's slightly different personally, but yeah, that'll be massive to get Martinez back. Now let's go through the keeper situation. So Fabrizio Romano on Donnarumma said, I can guarantee you still nothing is advanced, still nothing is concrete. Paris Saint-Germain want important money to sell Donnarumma this summer. Now there was a report yesterday from Graham Bailey that suggested that maybe PSG wanted £40 million, not the £26 million that was being previously reported as well. Again, you can only go off of the reports and nobody knows for sure. But that seems to me Romano is suggesting they're still going to want a big transfer fee for Donnarumma, in which case, if they do, I think that rules him out of the equation because I don't think we're going to spend that sort of cash on a goalkeeper. If it was £26 million or around that figure, then I think it's plausible for United to go to pivot and maybe go for Donnarumma. But if it's going to be important fee, then maybe not. Many questions on Man United, but guys, Man United still have to decide whether they want to try and find a goalkeeper who is for the future, like Lemens, or if they want to spend big money on a goalkeeper, and then in that case, Donnarumma or Emi Martinez. So he said Manchester United still need an internal discussion on the goalkeeper case in general. So Romano saying, we still haven't decided which way we want to go down, whether we still want to go for a younger developmental goalkeeper Lemens or whether we want to go for a number one in Donnarumma or Emi Martinez. I think a lot of this will depend on an exit as well or likely interest because at the moment there are just no reports of Onana going anywhere or even Bayinda going anywhere as well. So we'll have to pay attention to that. And I'll keep an eye on it for you. And Jan Fjortov has said a deal for Manchester United to sign Gianluigi Donnarumma will be expensive and it won't happen before the club sell more players. So we could be in that sell to buy situation regarding the goalkeeper. But we've been sell to buy all summer and we've bought Cunha and Bumo Sesko and sold nobody because Rashford is alone, even though it's covering all of his wages. So, let's just wait and see how that one plays out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the goalkeeper situation. I do think we want a goalkeeper, but whether we need to sell somebody first, who are we selling? Probably more likely Bayinda, but then there's no interest in him, although we might get some late interest at the end of the transfer window. Or do we just take an opportunity if Donnarumma's price does drop towards the end? Maybe we do take that as an opportunity, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. Now let's go through the rest of the exit news because, we need to get some exits done. It's really frustrating and really annoying. And surely these players want to play football. I heard, I get the criticism, and some of you will say it in the comments as well. Around United being bad sellers, and I 100% agree with that. In the past, we have been very, very bad at selling players, right? In fact, we've given contracts to players that we should have sold and for massive wages and bits as well. We've been terrible at it. I don't actually have that criticism about Ineos at the moment because they're not, I know we haven't sold anyone, so that might sound a little bit daft, right? But they've put all these players in the shop window. It's not like they won't sell players. It's just that the players are either not moving to the clubs that we're having offers from or waiting for clubs or just refusing to go. And I don't think that's Man United's fault. I think Ineos have actually, when was the last time United had 5 players they just literally didn't take on pre-season tour and basically told to F off? I can't remember United ever doing that. We've always taken these players on tour and played happy families. And like I said, some of them have ended up with new contracts as well. We've never been that ruthless. I just don't think it's United's fault that these players are either dragging their heels, waiting for clubs that are waiting for the last minute as well. And it's just really frustrating, the whole situation, because surely these players just want to actually play football. The season's about to start and they haven't even kicked a ball in pre-season yet. It's insane to me what's happening. But I don't necessarily think it's United's fault because what else can United do? Like, we've put them in the shop window. We've told them to go find a club. We've not taken them on. We couldn't have made it any more clearer that these players are up for sale. And we couldn't have made it any more clearer to the players themselves that they don't have a future at United. And I don't know what else United are meant to do regarding it. It's like putting your car up for sale and, you know, getting it cleaned and getting it waxed and taking loads of photos of it and putting it all over social media and, you know, doing all of this stuff, right, to sell your car. And then if no one rings you to buy it, it's like blaming you, like it's like blaming yourself then. And I don't see that with this summer with the exits on United. But let's go through all the latest anyway. So Alfredo Padula has said that Roma have inquired about the cost and pressed further in the evening with Manchester United intermediaries regarding Jadon Sancho. So far, Sancho has rejected everything up until today while waiting for Juventus, which has continued to stall. In the morning today, he rejected a move to Besiktas. So great, Jadon Sancho still refusing deals, still waiting for Juventus. Juventus are in a position where they have to sell somebody to bring him in. Roma have made an inquiry, so maybe that could be something that's plausible. But again, we'll have to wait and see. He doesn't seem to be in a rush to find a club, and the reports the other day were he's not bothered because he can probably always go to Dortmund on loan at the end of the transfer window as well. Brilliant. Besiktas chairman, though, said that we will do everything in our power to ensure his arrival when asked on specifically signing Jadon Sancho. So Besiktas are trying to get a deal done for Sancho. He just doesn't want to go there because he doesn't want to play. He wants to play in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. Alfredo Padula also then said later that Inter have inquired about Jadon Sancho's situation at Manchester United through an intermediary. Ademola Lookman remains the priority, but Jadon Sancho is a top alternative. So, you know, answers on a postcard, what's happening with Jadon Sancho. It just, yeah, it's infuriating. And then the same with Garnacho as well. Alejandro Garnacho increasingly closer to Chelsea. There is already a contractual agreement with the player. Now formal negotiations with Manchester United begin. There is optimism that a transfer will be finalised. That came from a South American journalist who's normally fairly decent actually as well, suggesting that, you know, maybe this deal is edging closer, although there's not been any updates from like Romano or Ornstein or anyone regarding, you know, conversations or talks or bids or anything from Chelsea as well. So it's just another one that's dragging its heel, and it's really infuriating that I said that these players just seemingly aren't asked. And it's annoying because if we do need the money to go for Baleba, that is really, really going to be more annoying. So we can't get Baleba because, you know, Sancho's refusing deals, Anthony's refusing offers, and Garnacho's refusing offers because it's not United's fault. We're doing all we can to try and get rid of these players, and it's the players themselves that are refusing these deals and stuff, which is really infuriating because if we do need the money and it means that we'd miss out on Baleba, I would be half inclined just to not sell them or not do anything and just keep them until January and just say, yeah, you can keep rocking up at 5 o'clock on the evening and turning up for training and use the facilities and stuff, but you're not going to the World Cup, and we'll just keep you and do something in January rather than facilitating the players. Because if we don't need the money, or if this is our transfer business and we are where we are, I think that would be a bigger statement to make than anything. But I don't think the club are going to do that. I think we'll end up just taking what we can get if it means going for someone like Carlos Baleba. But let's wait and see how it all plays out. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.